Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
I am well. I am so excited because it's New Year's Eve and I'm seeing you this morning. So things are off to a great start. Yay!
This is awesome. This is so awesome. Happy New Year's Eve. You know, just to kind of jump right into it, it's so cool. So it's like, you know, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? You know, really interesting. So the Digital Currency Group partnered with this real estate investment and management firm called Jameson. So basically they teamed up with Decentraland. So now tonight, for the first time ever, you can virtually go to Times Square and watch the countdown to 2022 virtually. And there's going to be live musical performances, crypto art, immersive games, all like the advertising with the billboards that you see. Kelly's face is like,
I'm sorry, my jaw's dropping here real quick.
I have to keep some things a surprise from you because watching you laugh and watching your face brings me so much joy.
Because I'm like, wait, you didn't tell me about this. Hold on. So I need you to recap that so I can, if I were me tonight, how would I do this? I have to have goggles. Tell me a little bit more because I don't know.
Yeah. So you definitely have to have be a part of Decentraland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, then you could just go into Decentraland, I guess, with your avatar, and you can explore the virtual countdown into 2022, which is so appropriate, right? Because we're moving into a mixed reality, right? So we're doing a reality with virtual reality kind of world, and way to bring it in, you know?
You know what's so fascinating about this, because my son's been staying with me, and so we've been having these really great conversations. And one of the things that has really been playing in my mind is what is going to happen in regards to advertising. So in one of my past lives, I've worked with one of the local papers here, and I brought it up to the publisher. I said, what are you guys going to do? Have you thought about what advertising is going to look like in crypto land? In this decentralized NFT, metaverse type world. And, he was not aware really of anything. So I think I kind of caught him off guard by the question. But in my mind, I'm wondering, what is this going to look like? And so I would love to have a sneak peek into what this is, so I could just get a feel for what that world looks like. I have no interest really in having any goggles. Do you have goggles? I'm just out of curiosity. Okay, I'm just curious. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I don't, and we're going to get into it because we're going to talk about phones. I mean, I did a deep dive, and a lot of it too, it's it really goes into privacy, and it kind of ties into not a virtual world, but just things are changing fast, very, very, very fast. And there's so many things that I don't know, and we always say we're not gamers, but when I see things like this, it's we're kind of bringing in the new year with digitized advertising, and you can go and explore Decentraland and watch. It's not really the ball drop. I guess that we don't do that anymore. Remember Dick Clark, he would always do the countdown. So that's how we grew up. But now I guess you could just put your goggles on and you kind of feel like you're in New York City watching the countdown.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, I mean, how cool is it though? You don't have to be in New York to see all of the advertisements.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be part of the new advertising. We're going to have advertisements on TV but then we're going to have advertisements, you know, in this virtual reality through like Decentraland, Sandbox. I'm sure Facebook's going to jump on board, you
I'm
know.
sure.
So I think it's going to be a fun year to see like how this unfolds, and even like, you know, with the deep dive with the phones, it's like, I'm just an observer right now. I'm not going to participate until I know my identity, my privacy, and my security is 100% safe, right? Because this is still super new. Like to us, this is like our everyday lives. But when you go out and you talk to people at the stores, they don't know. Like people still don't know. And it kind of like blows me away, because then I think about, well, you know, when you think about like credit cards, it just slowly became a part of our life. And then we kind of look back and be like, wow, we had life without credit cards. Like we wrote checks. And it's
Right.
just, we'll see like how this develops. But yeah, I mean, our whole world is going to be this, really. It's going to be, you know, so everything that we need is going to be on our phone. It's just,
Absolutely. Yeah,
or
I
our
was,
glasses, you know.
well, I was thinking just recently too, you know, here comes the Super Bowl's coming up, right? And I was wondering what and how would some of these metaverse applications like Decentraland or whatever, what do they have in store maybe for this particular football game, this particular Super Bowl? I'm not a sports person, but what would that look like in terms of what commercials might look like? Are there going to be advertising or doing any kind of special commercials with anybody who does have these goggles, you know, these virtual reality things, and what might that look like? And I'm really curious to see how this is going to, you know, continue to show itself. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to watch. And like the only there's one company so far that I know of that bought a commercial spot. So I don't know, maybe I mean, even if we don't watch the game, you could usually like pull up the
Oh,
commercials
the
online
commercials. Oh,
afterwards or
yeah.
something. I think, what is it? So the Super Bowl's the first weekend in February, I think, is when it usually, like, yeah, I haven't followed, I mean, I love football, but I haven't really followed it
I
in
don't
a
know.
couple of years. But yeah, so I mean, FTX is the first company to buy the rights. So we'll see their commercial.
Hmm.
I don't think it'll be like a metaverse type commercial, but I mean, how cool would it be if like Sandbox or something, or they do something like in the halftime show where like they show like holograms or something? That could be possible. It'll be interesting. It'll, you know,
It'll be really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'm, you know, just like you, I'm just kind of observing and watching it play out and see where do I fit in it? Do I choose to participate? I mean, I'm going to be participating. Obviously, I'm right here with you and doing these things, but how far do I want to go in? I don't know. That's yet to be determined, but we'll see. Who knows?
yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, I think like for now, it's like, let's just get curious about all these things and
Yeah.
like put some space around it. We're not in it, but we're outside. And we're kind of, I don't know, maybe we will dip our toes in a little bit or something like that. But again, you know, a lot of these technologies, you know, it's infancy, you know, and we'll watch them grow. Like, just like some of these avatars, they're infants. And then like, as they learn, they grow. They're called novatars. It's like a real thing. I mean,
They're called Novatars. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're doing the deep dive to help educate me. I had no idea.
I mean, it's like I think about how much schooling I've gone through and how it pales in comparison to the amount of knowledge I've learned since like the government lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, I have just learned, like, I can't, I wish I could just like talk about plugging my head into someone else's brain. Like, here, you like download this, you know, like,
Well,
because
there you go. The
it's
Matrix.
happening.
Kung
All
Fu
right.
fighting. Click in a cassette. There you are.
I know, right? I mean, that's kind of like how I felt when I like learned like tax accounting. It's like, whew, I downloaded how to be a tax accountant, you know? It's just,
That's some people
it's,
download much simpler things, so you're doing pretty well. So
no one wants to be inside my head.
my kids would say the same thing. Anyway,
All right, so let's just touch base on some of the news that happened, because there's some really cool news going on. So everybody that went out and bought like a ledger, like a Nano Ledger X or a Nano Ledger S, good news. Early 2022, Visa just partnered with Ledger Live. So we're going to get, it's called a crypto life card. It's going to be a debit card. And they partnered with a company called Banks Group. So from your Ledger wallet, you'll be able to convert to fiat at the time of purchase, and there's like more to come. The card will allow us to like pay with cryptocurrencies to more than 50 million people, 50 million merchants. So it's going to start in Europe, and then later in 2022, people in the United States will be able to get a card, and then so your money is offline, but you have your Visa debit card. You could go to the grocery store and start paying with things.
And does that mean that it'll actually convert it as you're doing it, or do you have to go in there and make the conversion? Say I have Cardano and I need to convert it into fiat and then like load up my credit card. Do you know how that works?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think we will be able to pay with crypto, and I'm hoping that it'll be like on the Flexa network. So like they use AMP, you know, as like collateral. So like any crypto that you use, the Flexa network will convert that to like the USDC or the US dollar. And then, you know, and then the AMP is used as collateral. So that way you don't have to wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes for your Bitcoin transaction to clear. You just pay and go. And the AMP token will be the collateral to make sure that everything is cool with the transaction.
Interesting.
So,
I love how like Ledger is doing this over in Europe, and Voyager is going to have theirs, you know, in terms of counterbalancing the fact that not all of these companies are all over the world, right? So there's opportunities in all spheres.
well, definitely. And like, you know, like on Ledger Live, like you can stake like your Algorand just by holding it. You don't have to do anything. You just hold it, you know, in Ledger. And, you know, you can also get interest on Polkadot and a couple of other coins. But like if you want your interest on Ethereum, Cardano, you know, a bunch of other coins like Bitcoin, you want your Voyager, right? Because they pay one of the highest rates in the industry. So it's nice that we're going to have like a couple of different accounts with options to be able to pay.
Absolutely.
So, which is really cool. And, you know, and I love the Flexa network, because right now, like when you go to like stores, like you see a lot of those card reading machines that are like Verifone and things like that. And they charge like this, you know, the business owners, you know, not a lot, but, you know, like 3%, which adds up. And this will be like half. So it's going to save the business owners money. So they'll be like motivated to make the switch over.
Very cool.
Yeah, super cool. That was like so super cool news, you know. And it's funny too, Kelly, because I was thinking about our podcast last week, and I was like, you know, total speculation in my mind, just like running wild. But like I mentioned, you know, Bank of America and Wells Fargo, like they close a couple hundred you know, locations temporarily. Well, what if they're getting the systems ready for the switch? If they're not already, like, you know, like I think about some of this stuff, because I mean, I've had so many banking clients in my IT career, and like, you know I said this before, like they run mainframe, like it's gotta go. It's not secure. You know, there's only one node. Like we're seeing all this cyber security attacks on like banking industries and, you know, Target, Home Depot, like all these different things. So I don't know. It's just
No,
total speculation. It's just my mind was like running wild, because like maybe we don't need as many banks, and they'll never come back. Like I know for me, like I have to actually drive 15 minutes to get to the closest Bank of America, because that's how many, you know, banking locations like they close. And again, like, do you really need like a brick and mortar bank when your bank is on your phone? You
I
know,
haven't been into a bank in years, probably 5 years. It's been since I've stepped foot into a bank. I have
yeah.
absolutely no need to do that, you know? So I think that you're I think the speculation is absolutely a possibility, but there's many things that are obviously going on. But in terms of
Right,
brick and
right.
mortar, there's tons of banks that have closed throughout our communities here. You know, there used to be 3 or 4 in just a pocket, and there's maybe one and a couple of ATMs type thing. And I think everybody's seeing that everywhere, but I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be. They have to begin to, I mean, obviously they're working behind the scenes. They're not going to tell us what that looks like, and they have to just be able to flip that switch. That's how I view it's going to happen as well. It's just going to be, here we are. It's already in place. This is how it's going to do, and slowly weed everything out, the ways of the past.
Yeah. And it's like, and even like I was driving home from the grocery store this morning and I'm sitting at the light and there's like a CVS like across the street and there's like, a big sign in the window, MoneyGram. And I'm like, what if CVS becomes a bank? Because MoneyGram is there and Stellar is partnered with, MoneyGram, and they're going to bank the unbanked. So you can, I
Yeah.
can send you money and you could go to your local, like CVS or Walgreens or something that has that has MoneyGram, and you can just walk out with your cash. So it's
Yeah.
going to be like, again, like I love being that observer and just kind of like, gets like my wheels turning and I start thinking like, how is this going to work? Like, how is this going to look? And it's good. It's good. I'm so excited for 2022. Like, I mean, I was dancing around yesterday, like just thinking about like what we own. And I really wish people understood like what we own. Cause like you look at Stellar, it had, it like maybe doubled, maybe a little bit more than doubled over a course of a year. So it didn't perform well. But we had the SEC lawsuit. It's very similar to Ripple. We need regulatory clarity for that switch to be flipped, and we don't have it yet, but we're going to this year.
Oh yeah, this is
So
a huge year for regulations to be put into place. There's no doubt.
yeah, so it's really, really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah, and on that note too, it's like, and then you start thinking and you can kind of start putting like the pieces of the puzzle together because it's all connected, right? And all of this has been way planned like years and years and years ago. And, because of the situation that we're in, it's like, like Klaus Schwab said, now is the moment of time for the great reset. And you hear the leaders from the IMF, the Central European Bank, like, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Their words, not mine. These are these people's words. And it's like, and then I'm like thinking about the lawsuit and like, and like, again, it's all like speculation, but, I don't know, Rosie Rios, I know I sent you that article and she was the 43rd treasurer of the United States. And if you're home and you got some cash on you, you could pull out your money. I'm showing Kelly like a $50 bill. And in the lower right-hand corner, right above Secretary of Treasury, you see a name, Rosie Rios, 43rd Treasurer of the United States of America, is on the board of directors for Ripple.
Yep. I remember, when did she actually come on board? I remember coming across that because I was still fairly new into the whole crypto world. And I remember seeing that happen because of all the, hubbub around XRP, et cetera. I mean, to have her involved with Ripple's huge.
Huge. I mean, in terms of like, her whole goal, and I'm going to read like a quote from what she wrote. You could go to, it's right on Ripple's webpage, but, like she's accomplished so many things. And which was really, really interesting was that she was the treasurer under Obama during the recession.
Like 2008, right?
So
Yep.
we had a crisis and Rosie Rios was the person. Are we coming up to our next crisis? And Rosie Rios is on the board of Ripple. And it's just, I don't know, like she's got that background and that knowledge. And like when you hear these people talk about liquidity issues and all of these things, like Ripple solves that with XRP. So I don't know, like Kelly, we drive this point home. We're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, but the discovery for the lawsuit is wrapping up in the middle of January. After that, it's settlement time. It's so everything, like all the questioning, you know, everything is going to be done in January. So,
That
and
is
then,
so
you know, when I
exciting.
think, yeah, and then like when I start listening to Rosie Rios and some of the things that she said, and, you know, even from like the website, she said, I've dedicated my career to financial inclusion, buzzword inclusion, right? And empowerment, which requires bringing new and innovative solutions to stead processes. Ripple is one of the best examples of how to use cryptocurrency in a substantive and legitimate role to facilitate payments globally. Blockchain and crypto will underpin our future global financial systems. Cryptocurrency is the what, and Ripple is the how. Like goosebumps, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's like nothing is ever 100% guaranteed. But Rosie Rios was recently on CNBC and she said, the future is here. The train has left the station. NFTs, fractional real estate. And we all need to take a look at this new technology and how it's going to better our lives. So again, it's like what we said last week, and Kelly said, like everything is going to be tokenized. And you know, here's Rosie Rio saying, like this is it. Like all real world assets are going to be tokenized.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. Which is so exciting because it gives everybody an opportunity to just have a fraction, just a smidge. You don't have to have the whole thing, but you can have some of it. Everybody can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, and I tell people too, it's just like, even if money is tight, you know, like it's like $10 a week, $10 a month, whatever you can afford, like just buy a little bit of it because we don't know like what the future is going to bring. And like, you know, I saw like the Biden administration back in August start talking about like price controls, you know, and like this morning, like I ran to the grocery store and like, wow, like, and again, you know, it's the holiday season, everybody's stocking up on food, everyone's cooking, but there wasn't a lot of stuff. Like, again, another week. And if we have price controls, like if they put price controls on food, we'll see half the amount of food. And like all people listening to this, talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, and ask them what it was like to live during the 1970s, because we had, you know, you had to like have gas, like rationing, like
Yep.
depending on like, you know, how your license plate ended. That was like the days you could go get gas. And what if that happens with food? So again, it's like have the insurance policy, right? We want extra food, extra water, get a garden going, talk to your neighbors. We should all have a victory garden. That's what we did during like World War II. The government encouraged everybody start planting some food so we can offset some of this stuff. Because like, you know, I came home with like English muffins and like bread because like there was no chicken, you know, like, and again, like we're and there was chicken, but like I don't call that chicken, you know, like, you know, you got to get the good chicken.
Yeah.
So like, you know, these are some things like I just want us to sit with because it was on mainstream media yesterday talking about price controls, and it's not a good thing when the government tells you that it's a good thing and people are going to be like, woohoo, gas is $1. Yeah, it'll be great the first time you fill up your pump. But when the oil and gas companies stop making gas, now we have a problem because they're not making any profit. So there's no motivation for them to create more. And that's how we have shortages where we need to just, I mean, at some point, we're going to need to bite the bullet and just let the markets like work itself out. And
We're not going to have a choice.
right, we're not going to have
We're not going to
choice.
have a choice. So it's about being
We're
in
not.
that awareness, you know, being prepared for, you know, you can, the choices are you either put your head in the sand and think that all's going to be well. And it, you know, it all works out, but you know, to be prepared. The grocery store that is near my daughter is their shelves are empty all the time. Hardly any chicken, never any eggs. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I don't go to the grocery store. I mean, it's just me. So I don't often go to the store. And when I do go to the store, it's very simple things. So I don't always, but I do walk the aisles to get an idea of what is happening. And it is really interesting. And there are pockets that are being more adversely hit than others. You know, it just depends on the demographic line, really, is what I'm finding. It's like if I go to this grocery store, although I did have to, just on a side note, because we're talking about groceries, I had to go to like 3 different stores to get something special for Christmas breakfast, right? I had to go all over the place to find something,
Yeah.
which has never happened before. A very simple item. So yeah, it's important to be in awareness.
And it's always better to be prepared, right? Because, you know, I know we've said this like when we first started our podcast series, and it's like, have the insurance policy to be prepared, because when we're not prepared as human beings, we get fearful and we react, and we usually don't make the best choices for ourselves, right? So if we have rice, if we have beans, if we start, you know, preparing for, you know, our garden, we can offset some of this stuff, right? So, and that's just it, right? Because again, like I couldn't get like half and half this morning, and like all the half and half was gone, like all of it. And it's just like, okay, you know, it's like milk, chicken, you know, a lot of meat, because again, we're talking about climate change. We're going to be transitioning off of meat products to like the meatless meatballs. And like when I see the freezer section, and no one's buying that food, right? But it's packed with all this, like, who knows where it's from. I don't know where it's from, you know, but we're starting to see, you know, the transition. And again, like I used to teach nutrition classes, and I'd be like, look, Americans shouldn't be eating meat twice a day, right? 7 days a week. But like some people don't feel well if they don't eat meat. Every single person is different. All of our bodies are different, and we react different to different things. So just to kind of keep that in mind, right?
Yep,
Because
important thing.
Roa and I are getting ready. Our next big project is that we're going to build a chicken coop, and we're going to get a couple chickens, right? Because, you know, like I can be a vegan, no problem. I was a vegan and I felt awesome and I was vibrating and glowing. But like my wife looks like a crack addict, like no offense, hon, but you know, like, and
Right.
again, like she was young when she did it, and she ate French fries and Snapple iced tea, right? So she, you know, she didn't know, but like, it's just stuff that we should be aware of so we can prepare.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
You know, and in terms of the financial system, like I always try to be like a super duper idealist, like crypto can save us, and like we can just expand on our old monetary system to the new monetary system. But I don't know, like, I mean, we've seriously printed so much money. I don't know how much longer like the United States can like pull this off, right? Like, you know, Jerome Powell saying we're gonna have 2 to 3 rate increases. And when you go to the charts, every time we raise interest rates, the stock market crashes. So this is, and crypto will also crash, right? Because it's assets, like housing goes down, the stock market, crypto goes down. So these are all things that, you know, we just want to be aware of. I think the first rate, the rate hike is going to be like March or April. So let's, you know,
Right.
and yeah, and just stay tuned. We'll keep everybody posted. But you know, the interesting thing is, and this was probably like in early 2020, you know, I was doing like a deep dive into like the IMF, it's the International Monetary Fund, and I came across a document, and of course I was jumping around the house, but like they had it on their like 100-something page document. XRP is a supra national currency on the IMF document. And, you know, so the IMF, I don't know if people know this, but they have their own currency. It's called an SDR, a special drawing right.
Okay.
So again, like if the United States dollar gets taken off as the reserve currency and we move towards like a basket of currencies for the world reserve. So it won't just be the United States, like it could be the United States and China and Japan. We don't know. But what if it's like a digital asset currency? And they had it right there on the paper that it said XRP. So, you know, in theory, a super currency can kind of stabilize the global financial and commercial transactions, right? Because they're going to try to support economic stability. And if things get to the point where, and we could see it with other countries like emerging markets, like they're suffering right now because of everything that's happened. So like, if it gets to the point where it's so bad, we have a problem, people are going to have a reaction, and then the IMF comes in with the solution, save the day, and then like, I don't know. Right now, like special drawing rights, they're only used by institutions, but what happens if it's not? And what happens, it could be Bitcoin, but it could be XRP to become part of that global reserve currency. Total speculation. I'm reading from the IMF document. I'm sure they've wanted their SDR to become like the global reserve currency, and they get shut down. But this is something that we should be, you know, educated about and watch, because a super national currency could replace the world reserve currency, which is currently the United States dollar.
That's fascinating. God, it's just so amazing to think about what is happening behind the scenes. And I think right here, it's really important to mention for those that are still very new to crypto land, that in order to obtain XRP here in the States, if you're a US citizen, you have some options. You can't get it off of a regular exchange like a Binance or Coinbase, but you can use Uphold, which is something that you've used here. Atomic Wallet you can also get, and you can also get it through the Safepal device, which is where I encourage a lot of people that I work with who use the Safepal device. You can get it through that application as well. So there are opportunities. So don't feel like that, you know, you're missing the boat if you're out there looking for it and you can't find it. You just, you know, those of us that are taking on cryptocurrencies, we have many different exchanges and wallets and things of that nature that we use to be able to obtain these things. So just know that if you're looking and you can't find it, there are ways. It's really, really
Yeah, there
important.
are definitely ways. And if you buy XRP on Uphold, they make you hold your XRP for 64 days. And then after that, you can transfer it to Coinbase, Voyager. You can't sell it, but you can hold it in your wallet. Awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Cool. And, you know, and like going back to last week too, when we were talking about like the spot ETFs,
right.
Because I do think that we have a very high probability that an ETF will get passed this year, right? So like all the ETFs that, you know, people like all these companies, like they made the application for the SEC and they all got rejected except for two. And the first one is the Grayscale application. And the second one is the Fidelity. The Fidelity one is called Wise Origin. And the Grayscale one is backed by Goldman Sachs. So Goldman invested in Grayscale. So, you know, these are definitely things that we want to, you know, keep an eye on for, you know, for the year.
Interesting. Now, what was Fidelity's again? Can you, I missed that.
Sure, it's called Fidelity Wise Origin.
Thank you.
So I think that when we see like the first ETF that gets approval, it's going to be one of these two. It's going to be one of these two for sure. So, you know, and real quick too, like kind of like a side note, Kelly, but I checked this morning because I don't check some of the smaller coins because I got stuff like, we have stuff like on all different platforms and exchanges. So I I did a price check on Silo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's up 117% today.
No, it isn't. Is it really? I haven't even looked. Okay, now I've got to really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I came outside and said to Rowan, I'm like, oh my God, like Silo's up 117% today. So, I mean, we're getting closer to that penny. And again, we see the market go up and down. Like last week, I was so excited. The sale is over, all this stuff, but I still think people are taking profits. But, we're going to see a big time move towards decentralized, private, these app messengers, right? So if you're using WhatsApp, stop, download Silo because it's encrypted, it's private. You can have your crypto on Silo, it's free. And you can even make phone calls that make sure that your phone calls are private.
Yep. So that's fascinating. I just looked at the chart. I love
Kelly's
it.
very happy. She's glowing. She's glowing.
What is so fun for me is, like you, I think we both do this. You wake up in the morning and one of the first things, not all the time, I try not to do this all the time. I try to come into my body, into awareness before I reach for my phone and see what's green and what's not through my app. But it's so interesting to watch how some of these coins can just have their own momentum, right? They just, altcoin season, whatever you want to call it. It's really so wonderful to see these projects start to flourish, to really take off.
Yeah, and I'm super excited because Silo was like another one, like, and I invested in it because I like the project. Like, I like what they're doing and I invested in it. And like, now we're starting to like, reap some of our investment, like just to wake up there. It's not often, crypto goes up and down, but it's not often where something goes up like 120%, like in overnight, so it's fun.
It's a nice little winky wink from the universe is what I call it.
I like that. I like that. Yep. So with that, let's bridge over to the phones because I know we touched base last week and I did do a deep dive on the phones and I did buy one.
Oh, you did? Which one did you buy? Because you have, sent me a couple of emails. Tell me.
Yeah. So I went with the Above phone. The reason I went with the Above phone, first of all, was the only one I could get. They're all sold out. You have to wait. So I have an older Apple iPhone right now. And right before Christmas, they shut my phone down. Like, so no one could text me, no one could call me. They wanted me to update my system. And when I read through like the agreement, I didn't agree with it. So I said, well, now's a good time for me to do a digital detox because I wasn't going to do it. Everyone was just calling me on Rowan's phone. And then the day before Christmas, it like magically started working again.
Oh, interesting.
Very strange. It didn't update it, but it gave me back my service because it literally said like no service on my phone. So I went online and I've kind of been like dabbling with it, but I'm not a big phone person. It's not something I'm super interested in. But this podcast is great because it's forcing me to stay focused and to do it, which is awesome. So the Above phone, it's basically what it is if you have an Android phone, Android teamed up with Google. So it's really a Google phone on Android, and they have amazing security. No one's done a better job with like the security part. So it's not Android that's tracking you, it's Google. Right. So what this company does is it changes the operating system. It's called Graphene. It's called a Graphene operating system. It's super simple. It's really like, it's an Android phone. So it's a super modern phone, but without Google. So I got a Google Pixel phone and, and then basically like you're all set because you have all of the excellent like security features and Google and Apple, who have access to your account, your IDs and all of that stuff, that's all gone. It's all gone. Just you can't download like WhatsApp, you can't download YouTube, you can't download Facebook, because as soon as you download these things on these phones, that's it. Then the software goes in and starts like monetizing your data. So what I'm going to do, because I love YouTube and I listen to some of my folks,
Sure.
and I pull the information and then I do my research. So my old phone, fine, you can track me on my old phone because I'm not using it outside the house. But my new phone, that's where I'll keep, like my money and things like that when I go out into the community. So I won't be tracked.
So you said that it was a Google Pixel phone, but it's just
Yeah.
a Pixel. It's a Google Pixel phone, but without any of the operating systems in it, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And like, I think that they have like all different kinds. So I just got the cheapest one because, Rowan wants me to get like a blockchain phone, which we're going to talk about. But like, so like the phone that we just got, because I didn't think I was going to have service. I didn't want to go too long without
Right.
having a phone. But I think it was like $300 or $400. I don't even remember. But it wasn't that expensive compared to some of these other phones. And I signed up. They offer like a 2-hour class so you can migrate your data, and they go over like every single thing. So it's like, I forget how much it was. I should probably know this, but it was like $150 or something. I just paid for it. I'll learn all about it, and then I'll bring it back to the podcast, because there's a way you could do it by yourself. But like, I'd rather just, because like that phone will literally sit in my box until I have another problem with my phone.
But you had to get a separate phone number. So then you're going to have 2 phone numbers, correct?
I don't think so. You can migrate your phone number. You don't need to get a different phone, a phone number. You
Okay.
can keep it. Yeah. So basically it's the same thing, but without all that tracking.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
again, no Google Maps, like, so there's other ones, and there's other phones where you can go into Google and then get out. You could go in and out, so it's going to be a learning process, but this is like a perfect entry level de-Googled phone. If you're worried about your privacy, you want to stop helping Facebook and Google make money off of you, I think that's a great entry level phone.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now the other phone I did research on is called a Librum 5.
Libra M5. There was quite a few that you were doing a deep dive on, weren't there?
Yeah. So the Librum 5, another like super great phone. It's got open source software, so everything is run on Linux, which is great. So the cons to this phone is like, it's $2,000. Sorry, the garbage man's here.
That's all good.
It's breaking my train of thought. So it's super private, super secure. It's run on Linux. There's even like you can like flip a switch to cut Wi-Fi. So like you could just cut your Wi-Fi off, and you can even like, some of us can remember like the phones that you could actually pop your battery out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this phone, you could actually take your battery out, which is awesome. And Linux was built by like individual developers. So when you're buying like a Linux, like Librum phone, you're not supporting these big corporations. You're supporting the developers, which is why the phone is $2,000. So like nothing is for free, right? When you can, like, I got this phone, my phone's so old, it probably costs like, remember, like 99 cents, right? So I get this phone for 99 cents. It's cheap, it's free. No, it's not. They collect my data, they monetize it. So you think you're getting a good deal, but you're not. So with the Librum and with the above phone, it's like, it's a one-time fee, and then that's it.
Do they
Because
run on
that's
SIM
all the money
cards?
they make. I'm sorry?
Are they phones with SIM cards? Are they?
Yep.
They
Yep.
are. So you
Yep.
can pop out your SIM card.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and the other downside with Librum, I think Librum was like my least favorite, is like, there's not a lot of apps on it because like a lot of the applications that are built, they make their money by tracking you. So Linux isn't going to support that. So there's not super good apps. And again, we're in the beginning of like a lot of these like decentralized phone systems, you know? So, you know, by the end of this year, we're going to see like more and more, we're going to see like the development of these operating systems come out, and it's just going to get better and better. The apps are going to get better and better. I mean, think about Silo and like what they've accomplished in such a short period of time. So we're going to really start to see this, which is cool. But again, like $2,000 for that phone when you're not even getting like really good apps, I don't know, you know? And then I went like to the other side and did like the blockchain phones. So it's not something that I'm going to like participate in like right away. Because right away, I mean, and I got to tell you guys, I'm blown away. I am blown away by some of the stuff that's going to come. This is going to change our lives. So you think about like a blockchain, right? It's like a global database with not one single point of failure. We always talk about this, right? So like you take Bitcoin, it's got 13,000 nodes. If 1 or 2,000 fail, the system doesn't fail because there's all these other nodes. So there's no one point of failure that we have right now with like our banking systems and some of these other phones. So blockchain phones, they're going to be offering like a hot wallet, cold storage, decentralized apps. And again, we're in the infancy stage. In the future, people are going to be like, man, remember when we didn't have like a decentralized phone? How did we live without this?
Right.
And I'm going to get into it because this is insane. This is absolutely insane. So there's a phone called Clear Phone. You've heard of it?
Only because you sent me the link, but if you recall, I sent back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, can you explain, please? So I'm all ears.
So this company has been around and working like with their primary focus on privacy for 10 years. Who even knew this company even existed, right? So 10 years they've been working on decentralized storage with like a decentralized ID. And then like I did an even deeper dive and I was like, holy cow, like Dell and HP use the Clear Phone software for their storage data. They've been using it for 10 years. And this company was able to extract that technology and create a phone system.
Interesting. So this is also the one that had the scan thing technology? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Jumping
so
ahead.
That's where we're leading up, right? Because that's like holy bananas, right?
Yeah,
because I mean,
that's the holy bananas for me. It was like, whoa.
Holy bananas. So, you know, just to kind of take a step back. So the phone, what it claims to do, it gives you back your own data, your own life, your own privacy, your privacy around health, your privacy around identity, and your privacy around data. Okay. So like when I looked at this phone, it's amazing, Kelly. Like I have the phone, and in order to get to the phone, you scan your face, facial recognition. We touched base on this last week, guys. We're not getting around this. So I got my finger here and I'm scanning my phone. So it's a fingerprint, facial recognition. Now I'm into my phone. No more passwords.
Got it.
Okay. So now I'm doing a deeper dive into the phone, right? So I'm looking at the website and all the features that it has to offer. So what comes with the cellular service, because you're not just getting the phone, you're getting the cellular service, and there's things that you can opt into. So now we have unlimited physician service, so telehealth, right? And telehealth is going to be a huge thing. Unlimited, anytime you need to talk to a doctor, it's totally private, it's decentralized, it's cool. So now you have doctor, dermatologist, therapist, Okay. So if you need a prescription, you just use your phone, make an appointment with one of the doctors, and the doctor can write you a script. You go to the pharmacist and you get your prescription.
This is, okay, I have so many questions, but please, I don't want to interrupt your flow. Continue.
And it gets better. It gets better. It's almost like I wanted to buy it immediately, but then I'm like, is this too good to be true? So I'm going to keep doing a deeper dive. So when they mail you your phone, you get a master private key for your data. So there's like a card. It's got a QRC code. You take your phone, you scan it to the card. Now you own your phone. You own your data. Clearphone doesn't own anything. They don't even know who you are because you have a 12 private seed phrase, and that's your identity, is 12 words, 100% decentralized. Your ID is 100% protected, and we have to be mindful of this, right? Like there's all these HIPAA regulations and like all of this stuff that we're supposed to have, and like here we go, this company doesn't even know who you are.
Interesting. So, okay, well, keep going because I have questions, but I'm going to have to do my deep dive too. So
Okay.
I have to ask this. Let me just do this now real quick. In regards to the medical aspects that you were just speaking of, how does that, do you know at this point in time in your research, how does that correlate to your insurance? Is insurance involved at all? Or just because you own the phone, you have access to a doctor, a teledoctor?
So according to this, you have unlimited access to these doctors, and maybe it's something that you pay, but I think like the way our society works today is not going to be the way it's going to work.
Absolutely not.
In the
It can't.
next
It's not sustainable. Right.
Right. So, and what Kelly said, like the scanning of the body, remember last week I mentioned we have the best food ever. We have the worst food ever. We have the best medical ever. We have the best like technology. And here we go. The clear phone, you can, it's like, I think, I forget how much it was, like $350 or something.
I thought it was $9.99. Was that
something like that? But you get like quarterly scans. You take the phone, you scan your body, and again, it tells you, do this, do this, do this, and you're good to go. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like, we're not going to have to go to a brick and mortar doctor anymore. We're going to use our phone, scan our body, and then do the things that we need to do to get our body back into balance. Like, but again, it has to be private, right? Because if it's not, these corporations, they're just going to keep increasing their wealth and increasing their wealth to the point where they have all the control. So we don't want that. We want this whole thing about cryptocurrency is we are in control. We're taking back our lives, our privacy, our data, you know? And this phone, like, I've listened to some of the people talk. The whole purpose of them doing this is exactly for this moment of time.
Fascinating, fascinating. Yeah, I was looking at that one going, I'm not quite sure I understand, or am I, I wasn't sure if what I was reading was true to what the actual concept was or the reality of that phone. It was fascinating to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, me too. It was almost like, it's too good to be true. I need to look at every single person who works for this company.
Right.
I'm doing my own background check on these people. Like, if I'm going to do this, because this would be awesome, right? To get quarterly scans, to not have to go to the doctor. I mean, that's where this technology is, you know? It's like, it's amazing. It's fascinating.
Well, anymore, very few people do actually go into a doctor's office anymore. At least to my knowledge. I haven't, obviously for a long, long, long time, but everything's a teleconsult or what have you, video chat.
Yeah. But how cool is this? Because now we're supporting ourselves to almost be like our own doctor. You know what I mean? Like, You know, it's like, oh, I'm a little bit acidic. I can add some chlorophyll water, drink your water with lemon. Like there's simple things that we can do to get our body like back into balance, you know? And like, I really, like, I'm so interested in I've always wanted to scan my body, you know, like think about it. It's like, it'll be able to detect cancer before you have cancer. What is it? Like 50% of the population gets cancer. Like think of the food, the water, the air, everything we do is pretty toxic, you know?
Well,
But this is like,
in scanning your body without the radiation, right? There's, I mean,
totally. I mean,
that's the
it's
thing,
so
right?
amazing.
The whole thing. Yeah.
It's so cool. And like, just to kind of like, it's like we're preventing these things from happening. It's like, I look at the medical industry right now, it's sick care. You know, it's like, we just wait till you get sick and then, you know, we put you in surgery or we put you on, I mean, all these different medications, but like, if we can actually stop all of that, like we can transition into, you know, we'll just be so much more healthier.
Oh,
It's,
absolutely.
you know, so I'm super excited about it. I mean, that kind of like wraps it up because after I saw that one, like there's one more called like Siren Labs Finny, which is a blockchain phone. And I still think it's like, again, in its infancy, and it modified like the Android. It's really interesting. All these phones are built on Android.
I noticed that. I'm glad you brought that up. I thought that was really interesting because, you know, you have those, are you a PC or a Mac? Are you an iPhone or a Droid? And most everybody I know in my sphere, they're all iPhones. And
Yeah.
even my kids have said, you know, you would probably like the usage of the iPhone, but have been a Droid user forever. But yeah, it's interesting.
So you have an Android.
Yeah, that's all I've ever
So,
used. I've never,
so
well, I
all
did
you
do
have to,
iPhone.
all you have to do is de-Google. You don't even need a new phone. You can just de-Google your current phone and you're good.
Well, but my understanding was regardless of de-Googling or not, they've already, I don't know if I can actually clean it. So actually
Well,
clean it all the way off.
you absolutely can. And maybe not Kelly Blair, but
Right.
an IT person can for sure. For sure. You know, so that's the thing. Like if you don't want to spend a bunch of money, call your local IT person, or I know Kelly's really good friends with like this awesome IT lady. And like we can probably get you guys connected with her and maybe she can do it for you. Like you can uninstall Windows on your computer now and just install Linux and boom, all that tracking is gone. It takes a couple of hours. So I don't really have like the patience to do it, but like I would absolutely like hire someone to do that, right? To do that for me. And this way we don't have to worry about it anymore, you know, like.
Ah. Well, you've got my wheels turning. I'll have to look into that for sure. I have an older phone. I've been at some point, I mean, it's an older phone, but does that really matter? I don't know.
It
Now
doesn't
that my
matter.
wheels
It
are
doesn't
off.
matter. It doesn't. It's like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Android apparently through like my deep dive research has the best security. So way to go, Android, you know?
Well, but of course, you know, we've been sold forever that it was the iPhone that has, right? Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Who
know.
knows?
I mean, Windows has more privacy than iPhone. Who knew? Now we
Yeah.
know, right?
Now we
I
know
mean, now we know.
because you heard it here. That's right.
You heard it here. And like we say, knowledge is power. And that's what this is all about. We're arming ourselves with education that like society just didn't give us in school. And that's awesome.
Yeah. And again, this whole thing for Andrea and I to do this podcast was about just having conversations. And that's all we're doing, are having conversations and sharing knowledge. We are not suggesting you do this, that, or the other. What we're doing is just providing insights, some things to think about, whether it be in regards to cryptocurrencies, phones, life in general. That's what it's all about. But yeah, it's actually so exciting. So much change is on the horizon. Big waves of change coming.
Yeah. And I'm so looking forward to like riding the 2022 wave with you. This is going to be,
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome. It's
it
going to be
is.
awesome.
Thank you for doing all the research. I love it. I never know what you're going to come up with. But real quick too, I wanted to mention on the Rosie topic, one of the articles, and I should have said this earlier, but it just came across my mind. One of the articles I think you sent me was that her name is printed on 1.2 trillion of the 1.4 trillion dollars in circulation. Just look at that for a moment. That right there,
Yeah.
gosh, that says volumes, doesn't it?
This woman is outstanding. Her background, just Google Rosi Rios. The fact that she is with Ripple, I don't care that the SEC, who knows? You know what? Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton, they're all part of the Ethereum Foundation. Did they sue Ripple so Ethereum can have a head start and get adopted in the United States? Because you go outside the United States, a lot of it is Ripple. A lot of it is Ripple running on XRP. But in the United States, everything is Ethereum and Bitcoin because they got the free pass. And you can't regulate Bitcoin because no one even knows who created it. And Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton, Google them and look at the companies that they work for and where their money's going. Ethereum it's a huge ecosystem. It's going to be a big part of our new financial system, but we need to have a fair playing field because XRP is the fastest. It's super scalable. It's super cheap. Ethereum has major problems. So let's slow this down, and I don't think they're gonna, because you know what, a lot of what's not spoken about is let's talk about Algorand. Algorand, I have no idea how much Algorand's going to be in the future, but I would put money. Algorand is going to be huge, huge, because it's so scalable. And even Solana's had problems with scalability. So we got XRP, we got Algorand, we got Stellar, and not a lot of people talk about these coins and these companies. But this is the infrastructure of the payment rails of the new financial system.
All right, guys. Well, we'll be back next week. Everybody have a wonderful, happy, joyous new year.
Happy joyous new year. If anyone goes into Decentraland to see the countdown, let us know. We would love to know your experience. So here we go. We're entering into the mixed reality and virtual world.
2022, here we come. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Right. See you next time. Model on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. Andrea can be reached at digitalcoach@protonmail.com, or you can find her on LinkedIn at Andrea Caldero. Kelly runs two programs related to cryptocurrency: The Future in You Cryptocurrency Group for Women, which can be found at news72media.com/thefuture, and The Gateway to Crypto, The Magic of Flipnir, through the Northern Gateway at thenortherngateway.org/cryptocurrency.